And then in 2003, Wolf gets during a situation with BMF. The standoff happened. Big Meech and those guys ended up Wolf.
He was walking towards woofing them, so woofing them like, yo, I guess they like, that's my man and everything like that, but damn, now he working for Meech and them. And he shot Wolf and Riz.
Diddy might have seen himself as the toughest in hip-hop, but there was someone who decided to humble him, showing him how really dangerous he was. None other than Big Meech.
I saw my brother's picture on the big screen. Really couldn't believe it.
On November 11th, 2003, at Club Chaos in Buckhead, things got real when Wolf and his right-hand man, Lamont Rez Gertie, ran into Big Meech and some BMF members. The tension was already thick. Apparently, it all started over a woman Wolf was involved with. One thing led to another. A fight broke out, and security tossed them out of the club. But Wolf and Rez weren't about to let it go. They waited outside in the parking lot, ready for a showdown. When Meech and another BMF member, Bull, stepped out, things escalated fast. At first, Wolf and Rez had the upper hand in the gunfight. But then, out of nowhere, an old Brooklyn friend, who had switched sides to BMF, turned on them to prove his loyalty. He took them both out right then and there.
He was walking towards woofing them, so woofing them like, yo, I guess they like, that's my man and everything like that, but damn, now he working for Meech and them. And he shot Wolf and Riz.
Now, a lot of people think of Wolf as just another bodyguard for Bad Boy Records and Diddy, but he was way more than that. He was actually Diddy's childhood best friend.
That wasn't his former bodyguard, that was his friend. I mean, that was his childhood friend, you know what I'm saying? He definitely, I hired one of my friends, you put him on, okay, you do security, but that was his friend.
In fact, Wolf was there before Bad Boy was even a thing. He was one of the early investors who helped Diddy build the label from the ground up. To understand how he got there, let's take it back. Anthony Wolf Jones was born on February 20th, 1965 in the Bronx, New York. His mom, Barbara Jones, raised him and his two younger brothers on her own after their dad left. She was a teacher who did everything she could to give them a good life, sending them to private school during the week and homeschooling them on Saturdays. But no matter how hard she worked, they still lived in a tough part of the Bronx called the Valley, a neighborhood that would shape Wolf's reputation. Funny enough, most people assume he got the nickname Wolf because of his street status, but it actually came from something much more innocent. As a kid, his best friend Troy and Troy's sister Tammy started calling him Wolf because he reminded them of Eddie Munster from the Munsters, all because of his widow's peak. Even his little brother Terrence, known as Little Wolf, picked up the name. By his teenage years, Wolf had built a tight crew with kids from his neighborhood. They called themselves the Valley Mob and earned a name for being tough, always ready to throw down. But even with that street life, Wolf still managed to graduate from Harry S. Truman High School in 1983 and even enrolled at Bronx Community College. He tried to juggle school with regular jobs, working at the post office and in construction, but the money just wasn't cutting it. That's when he and his Valley Mob crew turned to the streets to make real cash. Unfortunately, that choice landed Wolf in prison in the early 90s after a beef with a rival crew ended with him catching an attempted murder charge. He didn't stay locked up long. He was out by early 1993, just as a young ambitious A&R named Sean Puffy Combs was making major moves. Wolf and Puffy already knew each other before Wolf went away, and by the time he got out, Puffy was on his way up in the music industry. He had been working under Andre Harrell at Uptown Records, helping launch acts like Joe Desai and Mary J. Blige. But Puffy's hustle clashed with Uptown's CEO, and by early 1993, he got fired.
And then you started working with Andre Harrell. Tell us about that.
At the time, I was working with Andre Harrell, but he wasn't paying me enough, so I had to promote parties on the side, which was all good.
That hit hard. Puffy fell into a deep depression, questioning his future in music, but his people from Harlem and beyond had his back, helping him stay afloat while he figured things out. The problem? He still needed serious money to promote his two biggest artists at the time, Craig Mack and the notorious B.I.G. That's where Wolf came in. Fresh out of prison, Wolf teamed up with two close friends, Buck and L, to start a party promotion company called They threw events up and down the East Coast, including at Puffy's old school, Howard University. But word on the street was that the party business was just a cover for something bigger. Distribution. With money flowing in, Wolf, Buck, and L decided to back Puffy's new label. They put up hundreds of thousands of dollars to help get Bad Boy Records off the ground. Even D. Ferg, father of A. Hap Ferg, played a role. He designed the now iconic Bad Boy Records logo.
Ferg's father, D. Ferg, he had designed the logo for Uptown Records and the logo for Bad Boy.
And just like that, history was in the making. Once Biggie got his moment on the hit track Dolly My Baby and dropped his own solo single Party and things really started looking up. Wolf and Puff got even closer. At this point, they weren't just business partners, they were practically brothers. Bad Boy Records was on the rise, and 1994 was the year everything changed. Puff locked in a huge 50-50 distribution deal with Clive Davis and Arista Records, and that move took Bad Boy from just another label to the label. Craig Mack's Flava in Ya Ear and its remix had the streets buzzing, and then Biggie's Ready to Die dropped, solidifying Bad Boy as an unstoppable force in hip-hop. Wolf wasn't just watching from the sidelines, he was right there in the mix, becoming Puff's head of security. But he wasn't just some bodyguard standing in the background. Wolf was muscle, someone Puff trusted to handle problems before they even became problems, and Bad Boy was about to need a guy like him more than ever. On November 30th, 1994, everything changed. That was the night Tupac got ambushed in the lobby of Quad City Studios, shot 5 times by 3 masked men. At first glance, it seemed like a robbery gone wrong, but Pac wasn't buying it. At the time, Pac was in New York working on music while dealing with legal troubles, and he started noticing something strange. His co-defendants, who were facing the same charges, were getting lighter sentences. One of those guys was a Brooklyn gangster named Haitian Jack, who, according to rumors, didn't appreciate Pac running his mouth. Jack linked up with another powerful street figure, Jimmy Henchman, and the two supposedly set a trap for Pac at Quad City Studios. When the news broke, most people didn't think it had anything to do with Biggie, Puff, or Bad Boy. But Tupac? He was convinced they knew it was coming and didn't warn him. That, to him, was betrayal. He was cool with Puff, and Biggie was supposed to be his guy, so how could they let that happen? Some say part of the tension between Pac and Puff came from the fact that Pac was originally supposed to sign with Bad Boy, but backed out at the last minute. He even warned Biggie not to sign with Puff, saying he couldn't be trusted. Just weeks after the shooting, Pac found himself locked up at Bellevue Hospital's jail ward before being sentenced to 4.5 years at Clinton Correctional Facility. But from behind bars, he was already planning his next move. In an explosive interview with Vibe magazine, he made it crystal clear. When he got out, he was coming for Puffy, Biggie, and anyone riding with Bad Boy. And if that wasn't enough, there was another problem brewing, this time from a former ally turned bitter rival, Suge Knight. At one point, Puff and Suge were actually cool, and the guy who made that happen, none other than Anthony Wolf Jones. Wolf had a solid relationship with Suge, and because of that, Puff and Suge linked up at the legendary Tunnel nightclub in NYC. Things got so friendly that when Puff flew out to LA for business, Suge would sometimes pick him up from the airport. But as Bad Boy and Death Row started dominating the industry, the competition turned personal. Money, power, and even women got in the way, and whatever respect they once had started to crumble. That tension finally hit the public stage on August 3, 1995, at the Source Awards at the Paramount Theater in New York City. Bad Boy was running the night, Biggie was winning awards left and right, and Wolf was in the building too. But the energy in the room? Uncomfortable. The East Coast versus West Coast rivalry was heating up, and then Suge Knight stepped up to the mic and sent the room into chaos.
I still want to be an artist, I want to stay a star, I don't want to have to worry about the executive producer trying to be all in the video, all on the record, dancing.
His words weren't subtle, and they definitely weren't friendly. It was a direct shot at Puff, and everyone knew it. Just like that, the lines were drawn, and the feud that would shake the entire rap industry had officially begun. Puff later claimed that Suga's infamous Source Award speech wasn't even about him. It was aimed at Jermaine Dupri. He even said that when he confronted Suge about it, Suge backed down. But that theory was about to be tested in the real world. On September 24th, 1995, Jermaine Dupri's birthday party at the Botanical Gardens in Atlanta turned into something much bigger. Suge Knight and Puff were both there, and by the end of the night, Suga's best friend and bodyguard, Jake Robles, was dead.
Anyway, they had like their little words, right? And they went outside, and they went in the middle of the street.
They were in the middle with Puff
the
and
middle,
Suge?
middle of the street, Puff and Suge. I guess somebody
champagne.
must have said something to him. And next thing I know, Wolf, rest in peace, he let off a shot and let off a couple of shots, and Suge Man got killed right there.
Suge came in wild, slapped Jermaine Dupri, then pressed Puff over money. Puff talked back, Suge snapped, and chaos broke out. Wolf jumped in, and fists flew. The club owner told them to handle it in private. They did, then walked out like nothing happened, but the peace was fake. As the night ended, gunshots rang out. Big Jake got hit multiple times. Someone aimed at Suge, but he grabbed Puff as a shield, then ditched him and escaped. Wolf was blamed, but witnesses say otherwise. That night turned the Bad Boy vs. Death Row beef deadly. Later on, Wolf would find himself supposedly paying heavily for the rumors that swirled. Years later, Big Meech got locked up for some pretty crazy crimes, but now he's free, and the internet is losing it. Fans are talking, rumors are flying, and 50 Cent is keeping the drama going. For the past week, 50 has been trolling Meech nonstop, blasting him for linking up with Rick Ross, one of 50's biggest rivals, and accusing him of working with a federal informant to put people behind bars. "You told Tammy to tell," 50 posted, doubling down on the snitching claims. Meech denied everything, saying, "I never folded, never told, never will. Death before dishonor, always." But 50 wasn't buying it. He mocked Meech's response, saying he was reading off a teleprompter and had someone writing his statements. Things escalated when Meech teamed up with Rick Ross for a Welcome Back concert, where Ross planned to perform his hit BMF live for Meech. 50 fired back with a post of a rat, captioned, "I think I'm Big Meech," making his stance crystal clear. Then, just hours before showtime, the whole event got canceled, with no explanation. Fans immediately suspected 50 had something to do with it. He denied it, but not without throwing in a final jab. "I had nothing to do with this, please stop calling my phone. Happy Valentine's Day. I'm stronger than you think I am."